johnwild.com. My name is John Wildman, and we've got our two directors for Queens of Pain, Amy Winston and Cassie Hay, who we've talked to before. We talked to in person at the Oxford Film Festival. The film continues to play virtually at the Oxford Film Festival, but I want to take advantage of the chance that I get a second opportunity to talk with the two of you, and I want to talk about the fact that we were in person and you were in person, and because you've done virtual fests, and this was really, I mean, there have been, I think, maybe a couple kind of baby attempts to do in-person stuff at other fests, but this Oxford was really the first one to solidly do the in-person thing. And so I would love for you the two, now that you've had a little time back home, from it, to talk about what it was like for both of you in every aspect. One, being there with the film in person, doing the red carpet thing we did, doing all that stuff. There's no really particular place to start, but I would love to hear from both of you your thoughts on the experience now that you've had a little space from it.
I miss being in person. I think, actually, I'll take that back. I love this hybrid approach because I feel like you can get the best of both worlds. I loved being in person and just meeting people. It's just a completely different experience that you can't quite replicate online. And just, yeah, the chance to meet people and chit chat while you're waiting in line, or while you're waiting for a film to start, or after a Q&A. There's just excitement and energy in the air that you could feel. And then virtually, I feel like you just have the time afterwards to see all the films that you want to see, because when you're in person, you've got to schedule how long it's going to take to get somewhere, and am I going to have to change, or you're just navigating all of these things about an in-person festival, so you don't get to always spend time watching the films. So I really kind of value this hybrid approach. I hope, obviously, I hope we'll be able to attend more in-person festivals, because there's just nothing like it. But I'm really appreciating that Oxford has done both.
Yeah, and I mean, that it's interesting when we were in person, how some filmmakers would kind of form quick friendships, and they would not just see each other's films, but then they would watch other filmmakers' films in packs. Like, okay, we're all going to this screening. We're all going to this one, and it was fun to see that. In fact, Justina, my wife, put together the Women Texas Film Festival we had for a while, and one of the things that she was great in doing was forming a schedule so almost everybody could see everybody's films, and it created a different kind of family of filmmakers that, as both of you know, as you go on, you have this virtual Rolodex that you're constantly adding to, and whether they're on Facebook or whether on Twitter, or or Instagram or whatever, or you just have their numbers in your phone. It's something that you can resource, and that's something that I think was kind of missing. But Cassie, what about you? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just a different kind of bond that you make with humans, and even the festival organizers, when you can see them face to face and then see the production and just be there in person than virtual. So that, I think, has been something that I've missed over the past year. And then the other thing too is just, I had not sat in a movie theater since last February before our screening. And Amy and I are gonna tweak some audio tomorrow because we hadn't heard it. We'd seen it online, and it was like, oh yeah, this all sounds great. And then hearing it in a theater, like, oh, we need to adjust the music level. So and that was really interesting. And it's just it made me realize, I mean, I already knew, but it made me realize how much I missed going into movie theaters. and how much I look forward to that communal viewing experience again. But I second what Amy says. One of the hardest parts of film festivals usually is that there's so many things you want to see, and you're like, well, I can only do 3 because I have a press junket at, at one. So with the digital, you can see it. And also what's really cool is your audiences or your film community that maybe can't travel there, but can now be part of the experience and support the festival and learn about it. That's really a wonderful thing, I think.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our New Yorkers who were part of the making of this film, we can share, the Oxford Film Festival with them. So that's a huge bonus.
And one other thing I'd like to tack on to that is it's fascinating to see who's coming to see your film, who it appeals to. And there was a couple maybe in their 50s or 60s who were kind of sitting in the front row, and they're not exactly our target demographic for this film. It's like punk rock roller derby girls. And we saw them around the square in Oxford afterwards, and they stopped us and they said, hey, we loved your film, we just loved it. We're like, whoa, this is crazy. I never would have thought. And virtually you can't see exactly who's in your audience. So that was just a really interesting and fun experience, just seeing it in person.
And that made my whole week.
Well, and that's one of the things that I loved when we were on tour with our film, was the differences in the audiences. Having an audience on the West Coast, or having an audience in New York City, or versus an audience in Birmingham, Alabama, or Oxford, Mississippi, or Wichita, and it was great because when you're making a film, you're like going, this movie is for everyone. You go, well, it's for everyone, but maybe in a different way for each person, because you have your bless your heart crowd, and then and then you have like your hardcore cinephiles, and and the jaded, seen it, done it, been there people on the coast, right?
And yeah, to piggyback on that too, we both grew up in a really small town in North Texas, but Amy lived in San Francisco and I lived in New York. And when I first moved there, I remember people would make comments to me like, did you ride to school on a horse? Is this your first time seeing a cell phone? And I love seeing different audiences, because you're like, you know what? There was someone like me when I was growing up who would have died to go to a film festival, and maybe you didn't know that I was out there and wanted to see a film about roller derby because I was in a small town. And I think that's one of the cooler things, exactly what you're saying. You don't know who is out there, wanting to see this movie.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I think about myself, like growing up in South Florida, and my lifeline was Premiere Magazine and American Film and Movie Line Magazine. And it's like, oh my God, if I had a film festival near me in in little Inglewood, Florida at that time, I would have been there in an instant, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're absolutely right though, also about the virtual aspect. We ain't going back. The virtuals, genie's out of the bottle. We're going to continue this. And again, I think as filmmakers, we have to look at how amazing it is, because, say in the state of Mississippi, in Oxford, people aren't necessarily going to make the drive from Jackson to there, right? They aren't necessarily going to make the 2-hour drive down from Memphis to see the film. But geographically, with the statewide, and those people in the far corners of the state can still enjoy the film, and can, you can get those eyeballs on it, right?
Yeah, and we talked about this in person a little bit, but I'm a new mom and I have a 7-month-old. I can't take her into the movie theater. She can't last for more than 5 seconds without squirming off my lap. And so, I really can't make it into the theaters to see all the things that I want to see. So being able to stream so many movies at once from my home makes it possible for me to have this experience that, for the first time, I'm like, oh, I can't just pop in and see that film that I want, or go to the film festival because I'd have to arrange childcare and it would cost money and all of these other things. But it's so nice to be able to just tune in from your home on your own schedule. That's just been something that I never thought about before being in this situation myself.
All right. The last question I want to ask the two of you, and this again comes from personal experience of having been in that position where, you have, people that you're involved with the film with, and then how you monitor like what's being written about the film or news about the film and how that gets passed along, say in this case between the two of you. How does it work? Like, is one of you the one that has like the Google alerts and you're the first one?
Yeah, I definitely have Google alerts set for sure. Um, and immediately screenshotting things and putting them on the website and trying to get them out on social. So yeah, I'm that half of things. But yeah,
I go to the bank.
yeah. It really has been a complete divide and conquer on some aspects of this, and then a lot of juggling, just both being working moms that, hey, I know I normally do this, can you handle it this time, etc. So it's Cassie's like, how did I do the first one alone? I'm like, I don't know how you did a film alone, because this is an insane amount of work and there's two of us. But yeah, we've been trying to stay on top of how the film is being received, what people think, and then making sure we share that with our audiences, because I think it's interesting. Again, not having been in Derby myself, we did an interview with a Derby magazine and Derby outlet, and hearing their take on it was fascinating for me, and I think probably extra validating for Cassie, because they've seen all the roller derby docs that have been out there before, where I haven't gone as deep in that territory. So yeah, I always like to stay on top of what people are saying and then share it, because I feel like it adds context that some of us may not have before seeing the film.
Yeah, I just remember, like, when we released our film, Justina is kind of like the cyber detective of the two of us, and she would constantly like find, like, somebody that had done a like an in theater pirating thing, like where they literally had the video camera and stuff like that, and she would be the first one to go, and I would hear, like, in the next room go, oh, here's another one. Here's another one. And and she would be shooting the email to the lawyer going, shut it down, and it was like they couldn't get like somebody couldn't like post within seconds, and she was on them, and I was like, oh, what happened? And I was like, oh, what happened? What?
That's me. Huh? Yeah, in fact, Amy, we were getting on the plane and Amy found this at the airport, and we were so excited. And so,
I ran.
That's right. Featured picture.
I ran across the airport and I was like, Cassie, before you get on your flight, take a selfie.
Oh.
But we just felt like we were treated so well by the Oxford Film Festival. It was really nice. It was so nice.
I'm thrilled to hear. We often say, at my film festivals, that we really want to like ruin every other film festival experience following that.
Mission accomplished.
And it's like, I mean, of course we're half kidding, half kidding. But we love that, the idea of like a filmmaker walking in the door and going, well, at Oxford they did this for us. No, this is really sweet. Thank you very much. But at Oxford.
At Oxford, I put on 5 pounds from all the food and drink they were plying me with.
Exactly. Well, listen, this for me was a bonus conversation. I was really looking forward to it. You both know I'm a huge fan of this film, and so please keep us surprised. Let me know as it continues its trip, and we'll continue to talk it up and do that stuff. But again, we've been talking with Amy Winston and Cassie Hay from Queens of Pain, which is playing at the Oxford Film Festival, now virtually at the Oxford Film Festival. It's been wonderful visiting with both of you again.
Really
Thank you,
wonderful. I
John.
appreciate it.